Hi, I'm Katie Dutcher from Flourish and Bloom and Monterey Bay Meditation Studio. Rainier Maria Rilke has this short excerpt. I'm sure it's part of something larger that I'd like to see. But the excerpt is, I blinked. I just looked at it. I just read it. Let everything happen to you, beauty and terror. Just keep going. No feeling is final. Now, I love this. I guess I know he didn't write that in English, but I love the English phrasing of that. No feeling is final. The way I often phrase it is everything changes, and we can apply that to emotions, to thoughts, the circumstances of our lives. And so often this this can feel like a comfort. Many of us think of change as sometimes exhilarating, often scary or unpredictable. And when we're in the midst of something that feels really uncomfortable, or we feel like we don't quite know what to do, this knowledge that everything is always in a state of change, um, that can be quite comforting. It's as if you put your foot in a river, right, or a creek, where you put your foot, that's just one point in something that is already gone and moving through. So that's something that I think is really helpful to think about for feelings, for emotions, that there is no um, that we can acknowledge emotions for sure. Um, we can know that they're important, and at the same time that they're not final, that we don't necessarily just land in a certain emotional state and stay there. I know for me, I had a little experience of this morning already. I had woken up and, like, wake up, take a shower, do some stretching. And as I was doing those things and as I was doing the stretching, I had this sense of that I have sometimes of kind of um, not being totally confident, or not feeling quite safe, feeling a little anxious, or uncertain, a little shaky. And then after that, I went on to make some breakfast, and then I was writing in my journal. And in my journal, most mornings I take time. One of the things I write is, what am I feeling? And it was so interesting to me because I right when I put my pen down, I thought I knew, because I remembered what I had been feeling. I was going to write, I'm feeling pretty scared or uncertain. And it was so interesting when I like checked in there, I realized I wasn't feeling the same as I had been. Um, I mean, there was some lingering of that feeling, but there was also a little more um, lightness to it, and it wasn't quite as heavy as it had been. And so this, I think, is obvious, but I think it makes this point of um, how it is good. It is a positive thing to be able to sense the emotions that we're feeling, the kind of the emotional current that's coming through, and at the same time, um, if we're labeling it or something like that, to realize that we're just labeling this one little dip in the stream, right? That that as soon as we're labeling it, it could move right away in a slow way or a quick way. So that if we someone asks us an hour later, how are you doing? We don't have to return to how was I doing a week ago, a day ago, or even this morning. It's all new. And so I think this is really, I know for me, it is important, and it's a comfort to realize that really emotions are just kind of like the ocean. If you think about the ocean, there's never a still point. There's never a point where you could say, okay, this is the crest of a wave. As soon as you do, it has moved. And so seeing emotions as waves that pass through, and what this is helpful for, I think, is not getting stuck, and not perhaps being so locked in or afraid of our own emotional state. Often when we feel afraid of our emotional state, it's like we have a feeling like this fear or anxiety or dissatisfaction or whatever it is that maybe feels negative, and then we kind of act as if it's this solid state dug down deep, and then um and then maybe we try to reason it out. Well, why would I be feeling like this? Well, it doesn't even make sense. So much good is happening. Why would I be feeling sad? Or whatever little questioning and reasoning and figuring out we try to do. Um, and not necessarily grasping that it really is kind of fleeting in the scheme of things. So often too, when I have felt the most down or the most kind of low feeling, there's no reasoning that I can do to kind of go beyond it often. There's no but look on the bright side, um or something like that. But what is in some way comforting is this reminder, this remembering that I will not always feel this way. I couldn't maintain this state of feeling even if I wanted to, even if I tried. Um, Everything comes and goes. Even if I can't imagine ever feeling differently, I will. We know that after having um, ridden these waves of emotions time after time. So there's some beauty in that. And then also just being cognizant of how, um, there's that saying about thoughts: don't believe everything that you think, where it's not that we are trying to just question or negate our thoughts, our experiences, but that we're not so convinced by them, that they're not necessarily 100% true or always true. It could be just a story that we're making up. And emotions have this quality as well, that we don't have to quite believe them in a sense of being totally enveloped by our emotions. That yes, there is value there. And I know for me, so often, if we touch into emotional state, it is it there's a variety of things that are working together, mixing together to create the emotional state of this moment. It could be, what are the last few conversations that I had and how did they go? How satisfying or engaging or encouraging or not, right? It could be, when was the last time I ate some food? What's happening with my blood sugar? It could be hormones. What is happening with my hormones on that day? I don't know. So it's like this blend of all of these kind of external factors. Is it morning? Is it evening? Am I a morning person? Am I a night person? And plus the just feelings that kind of come from my heart and my mind. So knowing that, then we can have a little bit of lightness in how we hold the emotions. So, for example, that feeling when we say everything looks brighter in the morning, that if we're feeling something and it's the evening, that we can just maybe say, this will not always be this way. I can return and think about this in the morning, and perhaps for now I can just not worry too much about how the low feeling I'm having. If that makes sense. I'm speaking a lot from experience here, my own experience, even when I say we, some of this is things that I've shared with other people and discussed, and some of it is just sharing my personal experience that I have a sense is perhaps universal or definitely not just me. So I'd like to take a chance right now to kind of dip a toe into that river, this river of emotion or this ocean of emotion that's flowing through, to to dip a toe into it and to really just experience it, just that. So I invite you to settle yourself, come to a sitting posture or lying down, find a chair or a couch, something comfortable, and we'll begin with ringing of the bell. Beginning by sensing into your body, sensing the positioning of your arms and legs, the way that your chair or cushion or floor rises up to meet the body, making contact, supporting you. Bringing your attention to your breath, another type of current moving through, the waves of the breath coming in, going out with perfect timing. Feeling the in breath, feeling the out breath. And from your breath, as you're ready, beginning to turn your attention to this flow of emotion, sensing into the feeling tones that are here in this moment. Perhaps in this moment there is intensity of emotion, something that feels strong. Perhaps the emotional state right now is rather mild, just tinges of certain feelings. Possible that there's a singularity of emotion, some dominant feeling that's here, or that it's more nebulous, mixture of various feeling tones just mingling together within you. It isn't even necessary to have a name, a label for each emotion. It's enough just to sense it. Sensing the quality of emotion without necessarily needing to identify. Perhaps even now, even in this short span of time, perhaps there's a sensing of these emotions being in motion. But the intensity varies. That as different thoughts pass through the mind, perhaps they're accompanied by distinct emotions. No feeling is final. Each time you notice that the mind drifts somewhere else, it follows a thought, sound. Whenever you return, again, dipping in to this river of feeling, noticing, experiencing what's here now. And simply letting it be. In a moment, listening for the sound of the bell. It can be a very informative and restorative practice to check in with emotions frequently throughout the day, even just for a moment. So, to notice how you're feeling, maybe before a meeting, during a meeting, and then after, or before you meditate, while you're meditating, and at the end. Just just making a habit of checking in with emotions can can be really instructive to just noticing how there's a fluctuation day to day, hour to hour, moment to moment. And that is having that felt experience of this change and flow, um, then begins to feed into how you operate toward your emotions, how much you clench on to them or simply let them be and let them go. So, this can be just a simple and helpful practice to be tuning into emotions and just kind of with interest, with curiosity, letting them be here, letting them diminish and float away, come back, just following the dance, being with the movement. I'm wishing you well with this. Love to hear your thoughts. If you want to comment here or email me, um, just continuing the conversation. And I'll see you next week.